Husband writes a farewell letter to test his wife. She calls multiple men, leading to unexpected consequences that reveal hidden truths about their relationship. Nathaniel sat alone at the kitchen table, the dim light from a single bulb casting shadows over the crumpled papers scattered around him. His pen hovered above the crisp white sheet, hesitating as emotions churned inside him. This letter, he thought, would change everything. He could feel the weight of it, heavy and suffocating. How could a few strokes of ink hold so much power? He took a deep breath, clearing his mind, and began to write. Words flowed from his pen, starting with a heartfelt declaration of love. Clara, you have been my light, my joy. But soon, his thoughts turned darker, and he found himself questioning everything. If I leave, how many men would you call to fill the void? The question hung in the air, sharp and painful as he scribbled it down. Nathaniel paused, the pen trembling in his hand. Did he really want to send this? It felt like a test, a way to stir feelings he had buried under layers of comfort and routine. But as he sealed the envelope, excitement mixed with dread washed over him. What would happen next? He had no idea how Clara would respond to such a challenge, and the thought made his stomach churn. He looked out the window, the world outside oblivious to his inner turmoil. The streetlights flickered on, illuminating the quiet neighborhood. He wondered if the neighbors could sense the storm brewing within him. Would they understand the chaos of his thoughts? Would they know that he was about to unleash something that could tear their lives apart? As Nathaniel stared at the envelope, he felt a twinge of regret. What if Clara didn't see it as a challenge, but as a betrayal? He could almost hear her voice in his head, soft and questioning, asking why he would put her through such pain. You know I love you, she would say, her eyes wide with confusion. Why would you doubt that? But Nathaniel had doubts of his own. He was tired of feeling like he was losing Clara to the mundane. The routine had wrapped around them like a thick fog, dulling their connection. He thought this letter might spark something, ignite a fire that had faded over time. Yet, as the weight of his decision settled in, he wondered if he was being selfish. He stood up, the chair scraping against the floor, and paced the small room. Would this experiment strengthen their bond, or would it shatter it completely? Nathaniel squinted into the distance, grappling with the implications of his actions. Clara had always been strong, but was she strong enough to handle this? Suddenly, he felt a surge of doubt. What if she decided that life without him was easier? The thought pierced his heart. He had always admired her independence, but now it felt like a threat. What if she finds someone better? He whispered to himself, the words tasting bitter. He glanced at the clock on the wall. Time was slipping away. With one last look at the letter, Nathaniel made his decision. He would send it. The excitement surged again, mingled with the fear of the unknown. He wanted Clara to feel something, anything, but what if that feeling was anger or betrayal? As he placed the envelope in his bag, he took one last look around the kitchen. Memories flooded his mind, the laughter they shared, the late-night talks, the dreams of a future together. Would he be throwing it all away? With his heart racing, Nathaniel left the house, the cool night air hitting him squarely in the face. He was stepping into a new chapter, one he had written himself, but he didn't fully understand where it would lead. The weight of anticipation hung heavy in the air, and he could only hope that Clara's reaction would not be the end, but rather a new beginning. Clara moved around the kitchen, tidying up the space while humming a soft tune. It was a quiet afternoon, and the sunlight streamed through the window, warming her skin. As she opened a drawer to put away some utensils, her fingers brushed against something unusual, a sealed envelope. Curious, she pulled it out and recognized Nathaniel's handwriting immediately. Her heart began to race. Why was there a letter? With a mix of anxiety and intrigue, she tore open the envelope and unfolded the paper inside. The first line caught her off guard. My dearest Clara, I love you. A smile crept onto her face, but it quickly faded as she continued reading. The words shifted from from sweet to sharp. If I leave, how many men would you call to fill the void? Clara felt a cold wave wash over her. The letter felt like a betrayal, exposing insecurities she had kept hidden. She could hardly breathe, her heart pounding in her chest. How could he even think this? She whispered to herself, her voice breaking. The weight of the situation crashed down on her. She felt anger rise within, mixing with the hurt. It was as if Nathaniel had thrown a stone into a still pond, creating ripples that disturbed everything she thought was solid in their relationship. Clara took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. She put the letter down on the table, her hands trembling. "What do I do now?" she asked aloud, even though no one was there to answer. It felt like the walls were closing in on her, and she needed to escape, to think. Taking a moment to collect herself, she decided she could not let this moment define her. Instead of falling into despair, Clara thought of her old friends. They had shared memories and laughter, moments that reminded her of who she was before Nathaniel. She picked up her phone, scrolling through her contacts, and hesitated for a moment. "Maybe a call won't hurt," she said, her voice steadier now. With a deep breath, she dialed her friend Emily, who had always been a source of support. "Clara, it's been a while." Emily's voice was warm and inviting, making Clara feel a bit lighter. "Hey, Em, I found something today," Clara said, her voice trembling slightly. "What happened? You sound off," Emily replied, her concern evident. "It's about Nathaniel. I found a letter he wrote, and it's not what I expected at all." Clara could feel the tears threatening to spill over. "What did it say?" Emily asked gently. Clara took a moment, gathering her thoughts. "He basically questioned our relationship and my worth. It feels like a betrayal." "Clara, I'm so sorry. That sounds awful. Do you want to meet up and talk about it?" Emily offered. "Yes, I think I need that. Can you come over?" Clara replied, grateful for her friend's support. "Of course, I'll be there in 20, Emily said, her voice brightening. Clara hung up the phone and sat back down at the table. She stared at the letter again, feeling a mixture of anger and sadness. "How could he do this to us?" she murmured, shaking her head. While she waited for Emily, Clara reflected on her past. She remembered the carefree days with her friends, the adventures they had, and the laughter they shared. Those memories filled her with a sense of nostalgia. Perhaps this was the moment to reconnect with that part of herself. Before Nathaniel. Before all the doubts. When Emily arrived, Clara welcomed her with open arms. "Thank you for coming," Clara said, her voice softening. "Of course, I'm here for you." "Let's talk," Emily replied, leading Clara to the couch. As they sat down, Clara shared the contents of the letter, her heart pouring out the pain she felt. Emily listened intently, nodding in understanding. "Clara, you deserve so much more than this. It sounds like Nathaniel has his own issues to deal with," she said firmly. Clara nodded, wiping away a tear. "I know, but I can't shake the feeling that I've lost something important. But this can also be a chance for you to find yourself again," Emily encouraged. "Rediscover who you are outside of this relationship." Clara felt a spark of hope ignite within her. "You're right. I can't let his words define me," she said, determination rising in her voice. As they talked late into the evening, Clara felt a renewed sense of purpose. She would use this painful moment as an opportunity for self-discovery, to reconnect with her true self and explore what she wanted in life. The journey ahead might be challenging, but she was ready to embrace it. Clara sat across from her old friend, Jenna, at a small cafe. The sun filtered through the windows, casting warm light on their table. Clara stirred her coffee absent-mindedly, her thoughts still tangled in the pain of Nathaniel's letter. Jenna noticed her distracted demeanor. "Clara, you've been quiet. What's really going on?" Jenna asked, concern etched on her face. Taking a deep breath, Clara felt the weight of her emotions. "It's Nathaniel. He wrote me a letter, and it hurt." He asked how many men I would call if he left. Jenna frowned, her brow furrowing. That's cruel. Why would he say something like that? Clara sighed, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know. It's like he wanted to test me or something. But now I feel lost. I thought I knew what I wanted, but... She trailed off, her eyes drifting to the floor. Jenna reached out, placing her hand on Clara's. You deserve better than this. Have you talked to him about how you feel? I don't know if I can, Clara admitted. I just feel so... vulnerable. It's like he opened a door to all these insecurities I buried deep down. As they spoke, Clara couldn't shake the feeling of being caught in a storm. Memories of her relationship with Nathaniel flooded her mind. Moments filled with laughter, love, and now, disappointment. Have you thought about what you want, Clara? Jenna asked, her tone gentle but probing. Clara hesitated. Maybe I want to rediscover myself. I've lost a part of me in this relationship. I used to have dreams and ambitions. Then let's explore that together, Jenna suggested, her eyes lighting up. Remember when we talked about that art class? Why not sign up? It could be a fresh start. An art class? Clara echoed, a flicker of interest igniting within her. I haven't painted in years. It used to bring me so much joy. Exactly, Jenna exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. Let's do it, but first, let's go out tonight. Just us girls, no boys allowed. I'd like that, Clara said, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. Perhaps this was what she needed, a chance to reconnect with herself and her friends. As the afternoon turned into evening, Clara felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. They decided to visit a local bar known for its live music. Clara found herself laughing and dancing, the weight of her troubles lifting with each song. In the midst of the evening, Clara's heart skipped a beat as she spotted a familiar face across the room, David, her former crush from high school. He had been her first taste of infatuation, and seeing him again stirred old feelings within her. Look who it is, Jenna exclaimed, nudging Clara's side. Should we go say hi? Clara hesitated, a rush of memories colliding in her mind. I don't know. What if it's awkward? Life is too short to hold back, Jenna encouraged. Just be yourself. With a deep breath, Clara pushed through her nerves and approached David. Hey David, she called out, a smile breaking across her face. Clara, wow, it's been a while, he replied, his eyes sparkling with recognition. How have you been? As they chatted, Clara felt a spark of joy. They reminisced about their high school days, and Clara found herself laughing freely, forgetting the ache from Nathaniel's letter, if only for a moment. But as she glanced over at Nathaniel, who stood at a distance, watching her, a pang of guilt hit her. Nathaniel's expression was hard to read, but she could see jealousy swirling in his eyes. He had not expected her to move on so quickly. Clara turned back to David, trying to focus on the present. I've been exploring new things, trying to find myself again, she said, feeling a newfound sense of purpose. That sounds great. It's important to do that, David replied, a hint of admiration in his voice. But as Clara enjoyed the connection with David, she could not shake the feeling that Nathaniel's presence loomed over her, a reminder of the unresolved feelings between them. Later that night, as she lay in bed, Clara reflected on the day. She had begun to reclaim a part of herself, but Nathaniel's letter still lingered in her mind. She realized that her journey was just beginning. The unexpected connections she made tonight were stepping stones toward understanding what she truly wanted in life and love. And somewhere in the shadows, Nathaniel wrestled with his own demons, realizing that he had underestimated Clara's strength and resilience. Clara sat on a bench in the park, her heart racing as she scrolled through her social media feed. The bright sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting playful shadows on the ground. But her mind was not on the beauty around her. It was on Nathaniel. She had stumbled upon a post that made her blood run cold. Nathaniel had been watching her, tracking her every move online. The realization struck her like a thunderbolt. Why would he do this? She muttered to herself, her hands trembling. Her thoughts spiraled into a storm of anger and betrayal. She felt a fierce need to confront him, to demand answers. With clenched fists, she stood up, her feet carrying her toward the spot where they had shared so many memories, the park that had once felt like their sanctuary. As she approached, Clara spotted Nathaniel sitting on their usual bench, his head down, lost in thought. The sight of him filled her with a mix of emotions: love, anger, sadness. She took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest. "Nathaniel!" she called out, her voice sharp and firm. He looked up, surprise flickering across his face. "Clara? I didn't expect to see you here." "Of course you didn't," she snapped, stepping closer. "You've been too busy spying on me to notice. What gives you the right?" His expression shifted to one of guilt, and he stood up slowly. I didn't mean for you to find out like this. I just wanted to understand." "Understand what?" Clara's voice rose, echoing through the park. "Understand how to hurt me more?" Nathaniel ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident in his features. "No, that's not it. I thought if I watched, I could figure out what I was missing. I thought it was an experiment." "An experiment?" Clara laughed bitterly. "You think my life is some kind of test? You wrote a letter that made me question everything, and then you hide behind a screen, watching me. That's your idea of love." He stepped closer, vulnerability etched on his face. "I was wrong, Clara. I see that now. I thought I could push you to find yourself, but all it did was show me how scared I am. I'm scared of losing you." Clara's anger faltered, replaced by a deep ache. "You have no idea how much you've hurt me, Nathaniel. I thought I was strong enough to handle your experiment, but all it did was make me doubt myself. I reached out to others to find my way back, while you just watched." "I know," he replied, his voice dropping to a whisper. "And I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much my actions would hurt you. I was selfish." Tears filled Clara's eyes, blurring her vision. "Selfish doesn't even begin to cover it. You took my trust and threw it away. I don't even know who you are anymore." "I'm still the same person," he insisted, desperation creeping into his tone. "I just made a terrible mistake. I see that now. I want to make it right. I want to be better." Clara looked away, the weight of their shared history heavy in the air between them. "But how? Can you promise me you won't do something like this again? Can you promise to be honest?" "I can," Nathaniel said, his voice filled with sincerity. "I want to be honest, Clara. No more games. I want to face my insecurities, not hide from them. I want to face you." Clara took a deep breath, feeling the tension slowly release from her body. "Then we have to talk. For real. We need to be honest about everything. The good and the bad. I can't keep pretending everything is fine." Nathaniel nodded, his eyes searching hers. "I agree. I want to understand you better too. I want to know what you need from me. Then let's start now," she said softly, feeling a flicker of hope amidst the pain. "We owe it to each other." As they sat down together on the bench, surrounded by the familiar sights and sounds of the park, both felt the weight of their past, but also the possibility of a future. They were ready to face their truths, together. After the confrontation, the air between Nathaniel and Clara was thick with unspoken words. Each sat in their own space, minds racing with thoughts of what had just happened. Nathaniel was at home, staring at the empty walls, while Clara walked through the park where they had spent so many happy moments. The weight of their past lingered heavily on both of them, but so did the flicker of hope. That evening, Clara decided to reach out. She sent Nathaniel a simple message. "Can we talk?" It took a moment for Nathaniel to respond, but he finally replied, "Yes, I would like that." They agreed to meet at the same park where their confrontation had taken place, the place that held both their memories and their pain. When they met, Clara's heart raced. Nathaniel stood a few feet away, his hands shoved deep into his pockets, looking both nervous and hopeful. "Hey," he said softly, breaking the silence. "Hi," Clara replied, her voice barely above a whisper. They walked slowly, side by side, both unsure of how to start. Finally, Nathaniel spoke up. "I've been thinking a lot about what we talked about. I know I messed up." Clara nodded, her eyes fixed on the ground. "You did, but I think we both have things we need to say." She took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. "I felt betrayed when I read your letter. It hurt to think you didn't trust me." "I know," Nathaniel said, looking into her eyes. "I thought I was testing something, but all I did was push you away. I realize now how wrong I was. I was scared, Clara. Scared of losing you." Clara stopped walking and turned to face him. "But you didn't lose me." "You almost did, but I'm still here. It just feels like we've built walls around ourselves." Nathaniel felt a pang of regret. "I never wanted to build walls between us. I wanted to understand what you would do if I was not around. I thought it would show me how much you care." Clara shook her head. "That's not how love works. It's not about testing each other. It's about being open and trusting." As they walked again, Clara began to share her fears. "I've been so focused on what I thought you wanted that I lost sight of what I want. I want to feel secure, Nathaniel. I want to know that we can talk about anything without fear of judgment." Nathaniel listened intently, his heart aching for her. "I want that too. I want us to be able to share our feelings without holding back. I need to be honest with you, even when it's hard." The atmosphere shifted slightly as they began to understand each other better. Clara took a deep breath. "Maybe we can start fresh. Not as a new couple, but as partners who are committed to being real with each other." Nathaniel smiled softly. "I like that idea. We can take it one step at a time. Let's promise to talk more, to share what we really feel." "Agreed," Clara said, her face brightening. "And let's not forget to have fun together. We need that too." "Definitely," Nathaniel chuckled, feeling lighter. "How about we start with a picnic here next weekend? Just the two of us, no distractions." "I'd love that," Clara replied, her eyes shining with excitement. "It will be a chance for us to reconnect and enjoy each other's company." As they continued their walk, the tension began to dissolve. They shared stories and laughter, slowly weaving back the threads of their bond. Clara felt a warmth growing within her, a sense of hope that perhaps they could mend what had been broken. "Thank you for being willing to talk, Clara," Nathaniel said earnestly. "It means a lot to me." She smiled at him. "Thank you for listening. It feels good to finally be honest with each other." As they reached a quiet spot in the park, they paused, the evening sun casting a golden glow around them. In that moment, both Nathaniel and Clara felt a renewed sense of hope. They were ready to work together, to face their fears, and to rebuild their relationship with trust and understanding. With a shared glance, they both knew they had taken the first step on a new path together, one that promised honesty, connection, and a deeper love. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the city, Nathaniel and Clara found themselves sitting across from each other at their favorite cafe. The air was filled with the rich aroma of coffee and freshly baked pastries. It was their first official date since the confrontation, and both felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. "I'm glad we're doing this," Clara said, her voice soft but steady. She looked into Nathaniel's eyes, searching for reassurance. "I've missed our talks." Nathaniel nodded, a smile breaking through the tension. "Me too. It feels good to be here, just the two of us." He reached across the table and gently squeezed her hand. "I want us to be better. I want to understand each other more." Clara felt her heart warm at his words. "I think we need to make time for each other, like this. No distractions, just us." They set a plan to meet regularly, promising to keep their communication open. Each week, they would find a different spot in the city to explore together. It was a small step, but it meant a lot. They both knew that rebuilding trust would take time, but they were willing to try. As weeks passed, they began to create new memories. They strolled through parks, shared meals, and talked about their dreams and fears. Every moment felt like a step toward healing. Clara often found herself laughing more than she had in a long time, while Nathaniel learned to listen, really listen, to what she had to say. One afternoon, while walking through the park where they had confronted each other, Clara stopped to admire the blooming flowers. "Look at how beautiful they are," she said, pointing at the vibrant colors. "It's like they're celebrating new beginnings." Nathaniel joined her, his gaze following hers. "It's perfect," he replied, a hint of awe in his voice. "Just like us, we're growing, even if it feels slow." Clara turned to him, her expression serious. "Do you really believe that we can grow together?" "I do," Nathaniel said, his eyes earnest. "I know we've made mistakes, but I believe love is a choice we make every day. I choose you, Clara." Her heart fluttered at his words. "I choose you too, Nathaniel. But it's not just about choosing, it's also about being there for each other. We've got to keep working at this." They spent that day talking about their past, their present, and their hopes for the future. Clara shared her dreams of returning to school, while Nathaniel opened up about his desire to pursue a new career path. They encouraged each other, promising to support one another's goals. One evening, as they sat on a bench in the park, Nathaniel took a deep breath. "Clara, I've realized something important. Love isn't just about the big moments. It's in the little things too. Like how you always know when I need a smile, or how your laughter lights up my day." Clara smiled, her eyes shining. "And it's about being vulnerable with each other. I'm learning that it's okay to share my fears." "Exactly," Nathaniel agreed. He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "I'm scared sometimes too, but I want to face those fears with you." As they sat in comfortable silence, the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. In that moment, they both understood the depth of their commitment. Love was not just a feeling, it was an action, a choice made every day. "Let's promise to keep choosing each other," Clara said softly, looking into Nathaniel's eyes. "I promise," he replied, a smile forming on his lips. "No matter what." With that, they intertwined their fingers, feeling the warmth of each other's presence. They were ready to embrace whatever came next, knowing that together they could face anything. In the heart of the park, where their journey had begun, they found hope and a renewed connection, ready to celebrate the love they chose each day. Share this story if you believe that love can overcome even the toughest challenges. Leave a comment about a moment when you chose to reconnect with someone special, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one.